incumbent congressman here in the 1st Congressional District, a former mayor of Manchester, obviously seeking re-election and has a primary on his hands. Congressman, welcome to the dais.
Thank you, Rich. Hey everybody, thank you very much for coming out today to our state's largest city where I get to call home. I just flew back up to New Hampshire last night from Washington, D.C. I got to go back on Monday because I got to tell you, we have a continued fight on our hands between what happened with Hillary Clinton this week, what the President of the United States is doing, what the liberal left and Democrats are trying to do to this country is a shame. And we've got to make sure that we've got people in Washington, D.C. who are willing to stand up and fight for our principles of freedom and liberty. Just last week, we had a group of Democrats who did a sit-in on the floor of the House trying to take over our Second Amendment rights. And this cannot stand. This absolutely cannot stand. We need to be sending people to Washington who stand up for principle and who are also willing to tell our leadership when they're doing something wrong. So you're going to continue to see a guy who supports pro-life legislation, pro-Second Amendment legislation, as I have over the last several years. I appreciate having the endorsement of National Right to Life, the 603 Alliance. We are going to make sure that we get every single vote possible, not just for me, but for Donald Trump, top of the ticket, all the way down. Because I am tired of seeing Democrats run this state and run this country. We will continue to help good Republican candidates all across the board, because I want to see good conservatives everywhere in our state and in Washington, D.C. So let me close with this. In the last month, I have stood up to our Republican leadership when they were wrong, voting against the debt ceiling raise, voting against the budget, voting against the Puerto Rico bailout, voting against the omnibus, and I'm standing alone in Washington, but I'm standing together with you here in New Hampshire. And I appreciate your support. I'm going to continue to support what you need down in Washington, D.C., but let's go get them. Every vote matters. Let's get out and vote in September, and then in November, and let's take this country back. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
All right, we're getting close to 1 o'clock where we'll hear from James